What's going on? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Sky Central. I'm your host, Haize. On today's episode, we'll talk about the announcement of Sue Bird retiring, and we'll also get into the WNBA Power Rankings, an update on Brittney Griner, and then lastly, we'll be doing a preview of the Chicago Sky versus the Las Vegas Aces for the WNBA Commissioner's Cup. We'll get into all that and more in today's Chicago Sky Central.
Welcome to Chicago Sky Central, and here's your host, Haize.
All right, what's going on? Welcome to Skytown. I don't know. I'm still working out how to do the intro and how to make it a little creative over here. But nonetheless, welcome to another episode of Chicago Sky Central. We're going to go ahead and jump right into it. So we have a WNBA legend in Sue Bird retiring after over 20 years in the WNBA. She's the all-time leading assist person in the WNBA, multi-time All-Star and All-NBA. Sue Bird has one of the most decorated careers in basketball as a whole, and it's good to see the WNBA actually rolling it out for her to just, to say goodbye. Her quote that she's going to miss it, the fact that she announced it when she did, there's a lot that goes into it. I'm sure it's going to be emotional for some people. Sue Bird, 41 years old, by the way, which is wild, right? And, the fact that she's been playing it, like I said, 12-time All-Star, 8-time All-NBA, she's a legend in this game, and to have her go out, it really means a lot. And then at the same time as Sylvia Fowles going out as well, just losing two all-time greats in the WNBA. And Fowles is the all-time rebounding leader in the WNBA, also former member of the Chicago Sky, by the way. It's just I wanted to take some time out to really acknowledge that, to talk about her contributions to the game, because it can't go without saying, like, you have to have people like Sue Bird who do go out there. They've won gold medals, things like that, help to grow the WNBA game. And, the WNBA, while it still has some room left to grow, as we know, it's going to continue to grow, hopefully. But Sue Bird, just a legend in basketball as a whole. And she definitely deserves everything that she's accomplished so far, everything that's coming her way after her retirement, and just her longevity in the game as a whole. It's amazing work to put in what she's done over the course of her career. And shout out to Sue Bird as she finishes out this season, her final season in the WNBA. And so we're going to go ahead and move into the next topic, and something I'm going to do at least once a week at the start of every week is go over the WNBA Power Rankings according to ESPN right now. And of course, the Las Vegas Aces, who we play in the Commissioner's Cup, is number one, with their record being at 13-2. They're on a 4-game winning streak right now after rallying back big time on Sunday, coming back after being down 11 at halftime. All that. Listen, what the Aces are doing right now, it's amazing. Like, they are on a run right now that very well could lead them to a title, but first they have to get to the Commissioner's Cup. They have to go through us as the Chicago Sky to do so. We'll talk about that a little bit later, upcoming here. Next up, the Connecticut Suns with a record of 12-5. They sit at number 2 right now in the WNBA Power Rankings, again according to ESPN. And they had another solid week. They went 2-1 over the course of this week. They won over Atlanta and Seattle this week, so solid wins for them. We're coming back for that number 2 spot, by the way. And then the Chicago Sky at 10-5. We sat at 2 last week. We won 1-1 last week as well. Both almost losing as well. Both of those games, we very well could have been down 0-2. The Sky are gonna have to figure out those third quarters, but again, we'll get into that. Losing a terrible, heartbreaking defeat on Sunday after just. The Fever, I like the rivalries building between us and the Fever and all that good stuff, but we need to come on the other side of that. The Sky should have won that game. The Fever, at that point, coming into that game with only 4 wins. They get their 5th win against us after a huge third quarter in which they outscored us by 15 after us being up big time going into the halftime. So the Sky are going to have to get that together, but they sit at number 3 right now, but we're coming back for that number 2 spot. Anyway, the Washington Mystics, also, they rank 4 right now, sitting at the same place they were last week, 11-7 for them. They went 2-1 last week. They could have passed the Chicago Sky, honestly. But with that being said, I'm glad that we still sit where they are, and they still sit where they are. And lastly, rounding out the top 5 is the Seattle Storm at 10-6. Previous power ranking for them was 5. 2-1 week for them. They've been 4-1 on the recent road trip. And so they've been playing really well as well. We need to see the Chicago Sky stay doing what they're doing, because I tell you what, it's getting tight up at the top of the WNBA. And so, again, just to really get into those power rankings, let me know what you guys think about that as we continue to build out this show and how we're going to do it. Now, before we get into the game that we're here to preview, we're also going to talk about Brittney Griner's wife did tell the press that there was a scheduled call that apparently did not happen. They couldn't have cleared. She called dozens of times. What's going on with Brittney Griner right now is a travesty. And I mean that by every stretch of the imagination. I did not expect it to go on this long. The fact that she's being used seems like to make a political example out of, it really stinks. It really stinks. In every photo that you got of her leaving the courtroom, not showing her face, it's the hood and the dreads hanging. I get it. Like, did she break a law down there? Yes. But for a vape pen, come on, man. Let this woman come home. I'm glad. Like, I really do hope that something happens more. And then, it sucks for her wife to find out that Brittney Griner did try to call a bunch of times. But the U.S. Embassy, the call did not come through. So, oh man, that's just hugely frustrating, man. Hugely frustrating. I couldn't imagine being in that situation. So our prayers, as they should and continue to do, go out to Brittney Griner, and hopefully this situation gets resolved sooner rather than later. And that's not because of sports. Sports be damned with a situation like that. This woman and her family need her home, and she deserves to be home at that. So hopefully we do see Brittney Griner return home here sooner rather than later. But let's go ahead and get into the main topic for today on this episode of Chicago Sky Central, and we're here to discuss the Commissioner's Cup. Sky come in 10-4, Aces 13-2. And for those who don't know, let's just do some quick things on the Commissioner's Cup. This is an in-season tournament, something that the NBA has talked about for a while, but we're seeing it executed here in the WNBA, and maybe because as success, we see something like this come over to the NBA as well. But the members of the winning team can earn up to $30,000 per player, and the ones on the losing team up to $10,000 per player. And so this is well earned. I love that they actually have stakes in the Commissioner's Cup. That it's not just some quote unquote in-season tournament that really doesn't have stakes. The fact that it does have that, I think, adds a little bit of legitimacy to it as well for people who do enjoy the WNBA game and just know. And unfortunately, the Sky were undefeated in Commissioner's Cup play until recently. So, with all that being said, shout out to both of these teams to making it to the championship game and qualifying for this. But let's talk about it. We already know Kalea Copper. Why do I always want to say Cooper with her last name? It's just a mental thing. But Kalea Copper is balling this season. Like, the fact that the way that she's playing this season leaves no questions to be answered over whose team, in my opinion, the Chicago Sky are. I know Candace Parker. I know Sloot, who's been here for forever. I know that it's easy to think, but I think this team is Copper's team now. I think Kai has completely shown that this is her team, averaging so far this season 15 points per game, 5.7 rebounds per game, and 2 assists per game. And even in that game, the recent loss that we had to the Fever, she played 28 points in that game, balled her butt off, right? She can ball. This woman just balls, and she plays the game with a heart and a level of determination on both sides of the ball that just makes you proud that she's on the Chicago Sky team. Then also Emma Meesseman, and come on, man. Meesseman is balling as well. 13 points, 16.7 rebounds per game, 2.9 assists per game, 2.1 steals per game. And then we have Candace Parker, the Grizzly vet, coming in, filling up the stat sheet as she does, 12.4 points per game, almost 8 rebounds per game, and 4.5 assists per game as well. Listen, Candace Parker, Emma Meesseman, and also Kai they're killing it right now. They are killing it. And that's not even, notice I didn't even mention Quigley or Sloot, who are also playing very tough right now. Now, the thing with the Chicago Sky are, how are they going to contain the Aces guards, and the fact that the Aces very well have 3 players that are in MVP consideration right now, with Aja Wilson, Jackie Young, and Kelsey Plum all being in MVP consideration, playing great right now. They have the highest net rating of any team in the WNBA. This team is balling as well. What do the Chicago Sky do to contain this team on the defensive end? The offensive end, I'm not really worried about. What we do have questions is Candace Parker going to play in this game? I tried to do some research to see if I can come up with anything and see if we had anything for sure on her availability in this game. Didn't see any updates with that as the time that I'm recording this, but I'm sure, again, this was recorded a little bit before it's released, so hopefully by the morning we know if she's going to play or not. But Candace Parker playing, and I think one of the things that we're seeing now, yes, the Sky have had those third quarter issues regardless. But I think one thing that we are seeing that without Candace Parker being out there to kind of calm everything down, to be that vet, to be that level-headed one who just goes in there and knows what they're going to do, that we're seeing some of those games type of slip away. Now, we do have other vets on the team, so I don't want to just lay that all on Candace Parker. But this team, they need to get better at three-point shooting. Three-point shooting has come around in some games, but we need to see that get a little bit better, and hopefully they can in this game. But defensively, what do they do defensively this game with the Las Vegas Aces? Because it's not going to be easy. Let's be clear here. This is not going to be an easy game for the Chicago Sky. Now, by golly, it's not going to be easy for the Aces as well. And I think we're going to get a heck of a game. We're going to get a playoff atmosphere game. Again, it's for the Commissioner's Cup. So this is the closest thing to a midseason playoff game that you're going to get more than likely. And one thing that we're seeing as well, what do the officiating in the WNBA so far this year has just been strange, right? It's really, really been weird in my opinion. And you see players getting a little bit more frustrated with it as well. Hopefully this game is officiated more down the middle, but this is going to be a game. This is the measuring stick game. We're going to get to see how the Chicago Sky really measure up against the best team in the NBA, a team that we've already lost against once. We could have won that game as well, right? It's not like we got completely blown out of the water. But with that being said, like, what do the Chicago Sky do? Do they have the answers? Do they play consistently enough for all 4 quarters to be able to contend with the clear best team in the NBA right now? It's not going to be easy. Let's be clear here. This is not going to be an easy game for the Chicago Sky, but it is a game that is winnable, especially if they come in, they execute their game plan, they hit their shots, they do things like that. This is definitely a winnable game for the Chicago Sky. Like I said, it's not going to be easy at all. The last game that we played against the Aces, we lost by 13 points. Thought it was a little bit close there. 13 points. We need to show that we belong a little bit better in this game. We need to play with our heads up. What Kai does in this game is going to be highly important. I do think this is going to be a big game from Kai, and Sloot is going to have to play the game that Vandersloot plays. And, quickly as well, who right now is the leader, I think, for the Sky in three-pointers made, is going to have to play. This is going to be an interesting game and probably one of the better games of the season so far in the whole WNBA season. And I hope that they can find a way to just ball out, because that is what we need. That is absolutely what we need right now. We need tough games from everybody. The bench needs to keep up that intensity when the starters are off, because I tell you what, while the Aces do most of their scoring with their starting lineup, right? The bench coming in and playing the way that we know and hope that they can play can really change the outlook of this game if it is, down the stretch a little bit tight. The Aces play very top heavy, right? Like I said, most of that scoring comes from that starting lineup. And if they have to go heavy to the bench. Now, when you have 3 MVPs on your team, that's 3 people in MVP consideration. That's enough to deal with, much less if they had a solid bench on top of that. But just want to see a solid game from the Chicago Sky. This is going to be a game that it's going to be played, and it's going to be tough. I may live stream after the game, so if you are listening to this or watching this on YouTube, be on the lookout. Hit that notification bell, by the way, to be notified if I do decide to stream live after this game goes off. Now, I may not for this game. I really do want to, because it's the Commissioner's Cup. We'll see what I can do. But other than that, that is it for me for today. Let me know how you guys, whether you're on the YouTube side or you're on the podcast side, we'll get into how you guys can get in contact with us. But let me know how you guys feel about this game. What are some of the keys to this game for the Chicago Sky, and what do they have to avoid for the Aces? I know I didn't talk about the Aces a lot, because guess what? This is the Chicago Sky podcast. I respect the Aces and what they do, and I'll probably talk about them more in the news segment as we go forward. But listen, as of right now, they're the team on the other side of the court from us. I don't want to say too much positive about them. I already said they got 3 people in MVP consideration. That's all you're getting from me for today. As far as positivity for the Aces, hopefully the Chicago Sky can pull this out, get a win in the second Commissioner's Cup. And hopefully we see that happen. Let me know what you guys think down below. We're about to go ahead and end the show. So before we go, make sure you follow the show at Chicago Sky Pod on every social media platform that we're in, which is really just Twitter right now. If you do want to get in touch with us, the way to do that is Chicago Sky Central. Yeah, Chicago Sky Central at gmail.com if you want to get in touch with us. And then lastly, if you want to send in a text and or voicemail, the number to do so is 773-270-2799. Thank you for tuning in to Chicago Sky Central. I'm your host, Haize. I'll see you lovely and beautiful people tomorrow. Peace, y'all.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.